What's up, bookworms? Welcome to episode 118 of the Cantina Book Club podcast, where readers can find interviews with authors of all genres. I'm Megan, self proclaimed content queen, here to bring you insights from the authors themselves. Each week features a Cantina conversation with an author. Sometimes they're returning guests, sometimes it's someone new. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on an episode, and feel free to browse through existing episodes so that you can catch a previous interview about a book that you finished. Today's episode features a chat with Stephen F. Black, talking about his book, The Adventures of Tarum Mon, The Sphere of Time. That book is available now. I really enjoyed hearing about Stephen's journey as a debut author. He also has autism, and it was really cool learning about his writer journey and his plans for future works. Some spoilers do pop up in these conversations, but the episode is more enjoyable if you've read the book anyway. If you don't know, if there's something going on in the story that you're not sure about, hit pause, add this episode to your playlist, pick up a copy of The Adventures of Tarum Mon, and the interview will be here when you're ready. Just a heads up that I often use adult language to express my feelings towards these authors and their work, whether the characters need to get their shit together or I'm saying what the fuck to the author for making me feel things. Just please be mindful around listening ears. And now a word from Crystal Hope, founder of the Book Podcast Connection.
Hello, listeners. My name is Crystal Hope. I am the host of Must Love Books podcast and the organizer of the Book Podcast Connection. The BPC is a networking group of over 100 book-related podcasts, from fantasy to romance to horror and every genre in between. There are even podcasts for authors and writers. Check us out on Instagram at Book Podcast Connection or at www.bookpodcastconnection.com and discover your next bookish obsession.
Now, I know I'm biased, but I definitely recommend that you all check out the amazing plethora of bookish podcasts and subscribe if you're looking to get more out of your reading lists. And without further ado, get ready, grab your favorite drink. Here is Stephen F. Black. Today we've got Stephen F. Black. We're talking about his book, The Adventures of Tarum Mon. I hope I pronounced that correctly. That book is available now. Stephen, thank you for joining me today. This book, it was so cool to kind of like dive into your world building and the fantasy and get to know the characters seemed random at first, but how all of them fit together. It was cool to see how their adventure would play out. So I'm excited to dig a little bit deeper today.
Oh, cool. That's really good. A lot of people don't realize it. What I wanted to do was I didn't want the usual, I wanted it a bit more Dungeons and Dragons vibes because that's what I read a lot of and that's what I used to play. And I just wanted it to be a good adventure because it's for 12 plus as well. I wanted that little bit of darkness, but not too hard to understand. I know obviously a lot of adults, a lot of older children will probably think, oh, it's a bit basic. It doesn't. But I just want to bring back that retro of you turn an adventure, this is going to happen. Oh my God, this is going to happen. I just wanted that. And I'm hoping it's like a D&D campaign, but in a book form is really what I was aiming for. So like a dark versus light synergy with RPG elements where people they level up and they learn and they grow. And throughout the series, I just want one character as a linchpin and then the rest of the world, because each book is one continent. So
Okay.
The first one is Riff. So that's like trees and temples and forests and all of that. And then my second one is more to do with a watery world, and then the third one, and so on. And it will adapt as it goes through, because basically I want to get everyone involved in this world. I want everyone to be like, oh my God, I really want to live there. I want to see dragons flying. I want to see play in the trees. I want to dodge arrows and bullet arrows and magic and see like the colors come alive, because one of my spells is rainbow ricochet, which like brings loads of color and power. And yeah, so I just really wanted a book that everyone could enjoy, not just because I've even got an uncle who's reading fantasy that never reads fantasy, and he's really enjoying it. So that was really nice to hear.
It's always like a plus when you can like rope in your family members to be like, no, check this out, please.
Yeah.
And then you got them into it.
So going forward, one of my unfortunately my cousin who passed away, he was done all my artwork. So the cover, he done all the maps, he done everything.
Oh wow.
I've also done a tribute to him in the book, and something else is named after him in the book. So I just wanted to no one else will know, but I will, and the family will, and like his close family will. And to me it's just really good. And like my wife is based on a character. I like to base characters on people I've known or know. So I've got my wife's personality in one of my books. I've got my dad and my mum and my cousin and friends I've worked with. And I just wanted to give that realism because I didn't want my characters just to be static.
Yeah, it does help for sure. You can't help as an author to like get feed off of the interactions and the people that you know in real life to help feed the personalities of your characters. And
That's
like,
it.
and it is, I imagine it's a little bit of a struggle, like do them justice, right? Like to, because
I
if
just,
they pick up on it, they're like, wait a
yeah,
second.
yeah. I've basically just taken the personality traits of them and just emphasized it. So the loyalty, the friendship, the trust, the seeing the beauty in everything and stuff like that, like certain characters. And hopefully, as the series progresses and people get more into it, I'm hoping I just want the world I created took 11 and a half years to create. So I literally started from the ground up. And now it's got its own currency, magic structure, god structure. It's got its own elements, races. There's a race coming into it later on that's never been seen in fantasy before. So I literally created the whole backstory and everything.
Nice.
But I just wanted to bring everyone into this world, and I just want everyone talking about it. Basically, I want to be the next Rebecca Yarros, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
very
don't know if it's
ambitious. Oh, but
I
never say never.
know
That's a good bar to, that's a goal post to
it's,
have for
it's a
sure.
good box. They're high probably, might never happen, but you never know.
Yeah. Well, before for people who aren't familiar with the book, can you give a summary of this? At least this first one. I know you've got kind of other stories planned. Can you give a summary so like listeners can follow along with what we're
So,
talking about?
so basically, my elven protagonist, Tarum Mon, is hunting for a world-altering artifact that's been hidden by a god that knew it was too powerful to actually be controlled. So he is, with a grand band of heroes, is looking for a way to decide how they're going to handle it. They're going to look for it. While that's all going on, you've also got the dark magic. So you've got threats and monsters and stuff. As I said, it's a really easy thing to read. I'm hoping. Obviously, I have got a diploma writing for children, so I'm trying to make sure that comes across. But the way it's written might not appeal to everyone because I've done a first person. I had some feedback from it to say that too many people were talking at once. So I tried to minimize that and have like only one person talking and then maybe another one if they need to. But yeah, basically the world is in chaos and he is trying to stop it with a band of heroes. And there's going to be monsters and spells, and it's literally I'm really pleased with it by the fact of how it's written. And I wanted to do something completely different. Like I said to my dad, when I started it, I wanted 7 books straight away. And he was like, 7? You've never written a novel in your life. You're not going to write 7? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, and it is tricky, and I do commend you for like having. I imagine like how was your process? How did you approach it? And did you have a million like post-it notes post like everywhere? And trying
Yeah.
to make sure that you're piecing everybody together and that you're presenting it in a way that like is easy to follow and stuff like that.
Luckily what I did was I storyboarded everything to the point where the whole of the novel is storyboarded, so that really helped. And the idea come to me on a bus, like the elven hero come to me, his name come to me on a bus, and as I was writing it, the world just developed and all the characters developed. And I was really, really proud of it. I didn't want to show anyone at first. I was like writing it all, and I showed my wife, and I told her, and then I bounced ideas of her and my dad. And then obviously one of my aunts was my proofreader and she really enjoyed it. She doesn't read fantasy either, so she really enjoyed it, but there was a lot of errors. And unfortunately, as usual, most authors, I was a bit burnt in the past by people that said, "Oh yeah, we love your book. We're going to pay you money to print it," and then nothing happened. And the glamour, the joys of the glamour publishing, and we're going to make you millions, and you never see any of it because hey, they're not going to. They're just going to take your money and run. So luckily,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
lucky enough not to have that happen to me, but I was very close. Luckily, my wife and my dad were like, "Hang on a minute, this is too good to be true. It probably is." But getting back to the book, I just really wanted a world that people could develop themselves and find themselves in and could drop into. I was also hoping that if it goes forward, I'd love it to be like an open-ended RPG or like a trading card game and that sort of thing as well. So I've got other options. And because I really related to my character, I made sure he had flaws. So he wasn't like this superhuman, fantastic, I can do anything. I wanted that vulnerability and that issues he had and how he got over them.
Yeah, yeah, because we do spend like most of, I mean, it is his adventure. He's like the kind of the main guy. So it was, yeah, I was just seeing to figure him out and being like,
Yeah,
oh, who are we dealing with here? And then he's obviously because like he was like mentored by the leader of the
yeah.
regions, like he knows a lot, so he's not super inept. Like he like
No,
he has some legitimate reason for any kind of confidence that he has, but then like
exactly.
he's just venturing out on this completely like new thing, and he's meeting all these new people where I imagine you can't help but compare yourself to, wait a sec, I didn't know about this, or I didn't know
Yeah,
about that,
yeah,
or this person could
exactly.
do that, and
Yeah,
I've heard about it but I can't do it. It's like some of the things it's a little humbling and almost like a coming of age, if that
yeah.
were to, if you could
Right.
find like an elf equivalent of that,
Yeah, exactly.
like where, yeah, it's like he's on his
That's what. Yeah,
journey. Yeah.
exactly. I just wanted, as I said, basically the summary of the book. I've basically said about it, but as I said, I just wanted a character that hopefully people can fall in love with, and because he's going to be in all the books, I want him to be layered. So I don't want everything to be given away. What I decided to do with this book, which I'm going to probably do with the rest as well, because it worked out really well, was actually do two stories in one book. So I've got a full novel and then a little short story that sort of links. I don't want to do any spoilers, but you'll see if you've read it, which I believe you probably have, because that's how you wanted to interview me. You'll know that they both. I wanted two books, so basically you pay. I think for in England it's £7.99, and for that you get over 200 pages of action and adventure, and then another story. But you don't have to buy a separate book, so they're both in the
Yeah.
same novel, which I thought again something a bit different.
Yeah, there's like a for just the whole like approach to it where you're pulling from the D&D storytelling from the RPG kind of style. And I wonder if you could have did this like a short story series or like a novella series, like
Yeah, I've
it
written
was like
five
almost like
novellas.
the world is your oyster, right?
Yeah,
Like you could have
yeah, I've already written five novellas based on different characters that will be coming in. So
perfect.
I've already done the novellas. But obviously, because there's a timeline, I don't want to bring the novellas out yet because I need to make sure that the two books that are going to come out, and then hopefully that will link it, and then that will link to the third one. And I don't like bring it out and then be like, what the hell? Now what's going on? It's a hard. The trouble is when you're an author, as you well know, because you're an author yourself, or soon
No,
to, I
I'm
do.
not. I just interview authors.
Oh,
I
you're
just
not an author
interview.
yourself.
No, I'm not an author.
What
I'm a
about?
podcaster slash
Oh,
bookworm
okay.
slash dork. So I'm like, that's why I was like, I just know. I started this thing. I was I contributed to another podcast, my cousin's podcast, who did mostly like nerd focused, like
Yep.
blanket nerd entertainment slash tech, all that in the entertainment news. And I was like the book reviewer, but then they decided to discontinue that. And I was like, I still have months of scheduled interviews. You guys care if I like do a side project and make my own thing, borrow the brand, use all the existing shit?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, yeah, that's great, totally fine, go for it. And so that was about a year and a half ago where I just moved on to. So the Nerd Cantina was the original, and then Cantina Book Club was a spinoff of that. No, I'm not ever gonna. People have asked me that before. Do you want to write a book? I'm like, first of all, I don't know if I could ever like be as creative or like I have the patience enough to do all that to make it work, to make it good, to make it something that people want to read. Second of all, I don't know if I'd be able to handle like any. I just, the rule is you don't read your book reviews, right? You don't read your book reviews about your
No.
own work.
Yeah,
And I
no.
don't think I would take too many things to heart. Like
Yeah.
it's just never been an ambition of mine. It's never been, I don't even have like an original idea to where I feel like I would need to get a story out. I don't have that itch to scratch, but I love reading and I get into it and I love connecting with characters. And I think I'm in a unique position. I've been able to speak with like, so many cool and talented people like yourself, and plus
Oh,
because
thanks.
I'm into like all sorts of genres. So I don't like narrow myself to one specific like reading story type. I'll talk
Yeah.
to people who wrote a thriller. I'll talk to people who wrote a romance or who wrote a women's fiction. And then like I'll also talk to people who are best-selling or award-winning authors, and I talk to people who are self-published and who are doing the Amazon thing, stuff like that. No, just to like correct you, no, I am not, and I don't think I ever have an ambition to be. I'm just here to help you guys promote your work and get into your story and your world and find ways to like, dig a little bit deeper.
That's really cool. It's really nice that someone actually doing that because obviously it's really weird because I had a audiobook narrator do some of my book via YouTube, and that was really interesting to hear my world come alive by someone else's voice. And that was
Yeah.
and I loved
I
that.
know
And I felt
audiobooks are it depends because yeah, when I read the book, I'm like reading it and it's like however it plays in my head, in my voice, in my brain. But then like when cuz I'm in the middle of Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight archive and
oh,
I'm on
okay,
book
yeah.
5, The Wind of Truth. I'm on that. But
Um,
the narrators are fantastic and I'm telling you it like makes or breaks it for me cuz I've read audiobooks or I've listened to audiobooks where I couldn't finish it because the narrator just was like I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I'm like I'm not spending like hours of my time listening to this when I can and like I'm too distracted by either the narrator's voice or their approach because yeah, then when you're listening to it, you hear how someone else does the characters' voices and does the
yeah,
sighs or the chuckles or the inflections on certain words and
yeah.
stuff like that. So that's really cool for you as an author to listen to how that plays
It was
out.
amazing to hear my world come
Yeah.
to life. It was just incredible. As I said, at the moment I'm reading the Alex Astor's Light Lark series. So I read Light Lark. I'm now on Sky Nightbane, and then I've obviously got Sky Shade to read. But also a really good author that I follow recently, Andy Darcy Theo. I got his second book. I can't remember the name of the title now, but it was really I got that for my birthday. And
Mm.
then I've made a lot of friends with indie authors, and it's really nice to have that
Oh
world where
yeah.
we can chat books and we can just
Yes.
talk, and it doesn't really matter. And it's nice to support each other. I love Threads, which is where I found you, funnily enough. I don't really do Twitter, but Threads is different because it's like a book
Threads? Oh,
community.
Threads. Okay. I was
Threads,
like,
yeah,
friends. Oh,
Threads.
sorry. I was like, wait a
No,
second. Threads.
no,
Oh, that's really
Threads.
cool.
So
Yeah.
basically, through Instagram, they've got the Threads, which is basically like a
Yes.
Twitter for authors and like book people, and that really helped. And I've done quite well on there.
That's
And
great.
that's how I found an event because I went to an event in London and sold 12 copies of my book, which signed, which was amazing. I never didn't think I would. I took 25 with me and brought back and sold 12. So that was
That's
incredible.
great.
I
That's
even
so
had
great.
bookmarks with my artwork on, and they went with it as well. And it was just really nice to do. And
So
I
wait,
really
yeah,
prefer
because like you said your illustrator or your cousin that had recently passed, the
yeah,
illustrations. And did he
that was
also do the cover then?
2015. Yeah. Yes, so in 2000, he passed in 2015, but he
Oh,
did all
I'm
the
sorry
cover
to hear that,
artwork.
but what a legacy that he can
Yeah, that's what
leave.
I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Mm. Because I knew if I was to go mainstream, they would probably, because the trouble is, as good as mainstream is, like traditional publishing is, they tend to want to do their own thing rather than yours, and they tend to chuckle your art out and they want to do their own and what's going to sell. And I didn't say, and I even said to my dad, if I got famous enough that they wanted to do a series of my book, I would want to do it a mini series like the Dungeons and Dragons, like the Harry Potters, like I wouldn't want to do not the Harry Potter, I mean like the Percy Jackson, a little mini series, because I feel if I was to do a whole film, unless I got full creativity on it, it wouldn't work because they would cut out bits they didn't want. They would try to sexualize it. They would try to make it more than it was. And I don't want my world
Yeah,
degraded
well, it
like that.
depends if you make it clear that you're like, okay, no, this is either for middle grade or for YA. Like then
Exactly.
then it's like hopefully, but no, I see what you're saying where it's kind of like you lose
Yeah,
some of that control, like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm not into, I like to be able to be in control. I mean, as I said, I don't know if I'm ever going to make millions from it. I've sold a few and I'm enjoying I think I've sold like 70 copies since it's been out, which isn't too bad. And it came out August 2020. The most original, the newest version came out August 2024 because I had a few previous versions that were, as I said, print
I
published.
mean,
But
sell yourself short. That's you have to start somewhere. Like
exactly,
you're doing your own marketing and outreach and PR. It's
absolutely.
like oh,
I mean,
you
I've got
can
so
only
many
do
hats,
so
I never
many
know which
things.
I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have so many hats, I never know which one I'm wearing. They all fit, but they're all very different.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you make do, but no, like I said before, that's such a common like sentiment amongst self-publishers who it can be intimidating, but yeah, they have to be, their own one-stop shop. They are
Yeah,
responsible for marketing, for seeking out help like with the illustration or even with a proofreader, a beta reader, stuff like that. Like it's versus traditional, it's like yeah, you have access to all these other resources, but then it's like there are more cooks in the kitchen. So
exactly.
it's kind of it's like yeah,
It's a balance.
definitely.
I
Did you
think
have
the
to
fact.
do any oh no, go ahead.
No, go on. You talk first. It's fine.
Okay. No, I was just moving on because something I wanted to ask about is your experiences of we've been talking about it, but to piggyback off of that, your experiences of like your first indie like self-published work and like what kind of research, if any, that you had to do because I imagine you had to like
kind of get inspiration from somewhere or look up some things. I don't know if your Google search history is questionable or anything like that, but I kind of want to explore how you approach the
Yeah.
research. I think fascinating that you learned stuff like that.
So it was actually quite interesting. So basically, as I said, because I got a diploma writing for children, I wanted to go down the YA route because a lot of what I read is YA. So that's the age I was aiming for. And with regards to the research, what I've basically done is make sure that everything is that's dark enough but not too dark, and that to make sure that everything is in the right context. So I had to do a lot of research on the fact of how self-publishing works and what I'm going to do and stuff like that. So yeah, it was difficult. The research, in a way, I would say, is I've just mainly researched other authors and more people in that genre and how to approach it. And that's why I decided to meld the two loves that I like, which is like the role play and the storytelling, and put them both together. Because for me, it's how it really helped. So, yeah, but that's the sort of research I've done. On my second book, I did research about like sharks and how they look, because one of my creatures has like a shark type look to it, and I wanted to make sure I was describing it right.
Yeah, no, I
So,
totally get that. Yeah. Yeah, that's I was just curious because like with any kind of fantasy world building, I imagine you had to like just not just outside like the author publishing side of it. It's just like world building. I imagine you have, oh, how am I going to explain this? What is this derived from? Stuff like that. So that's why I always like I just find it interesting because some authors they get sucked down rabbit holes searching for something that's gonna make two sentences in their story. You just like you get sucked down into learning about one topic, but then and when you
yeah,
go down to your story, you're like, oh, it's only because 2 or 3 sentences worth of content. Like
yeah,
even though you've got
right.
this whole like knowledge in your head now, it's like yeah, it's funny. It's a funny part of it. But you guys have so much fun with it, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, the other reason I wrote the book was because I had quite a bad experience when I was at school. So I was
Oh,
quite badly bullied. So for me, escapism was the library and books, and that sort of genre was what I was reading. So I really enjoyed like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, and it was like an escapism for me. And being autistic as well, it being able to create my own world was really good, because if I was having like a bad time of it, I could just like delve back into it. I could write while I was writing. I could use past experiences and stuff. Like in my second book, my villain is really dark, because that was all the stuff that I dealt with, that rather than blow up, I just chucked into a villain. So that villain is really dark, because all the negativity I had was then there. Yeah,
yeah, that's really powerful and that's like therapeutic in a way. Like you can just find that outlet and find a way to like
absolutely.
explain it, like just deal with it in your own way. But no, that's I mean that's impressive as someone with your unique challenges that you've been able to like figure out how to tell a story in a really imaginative story and put it on paper. But I kind of want to explore like how, because that's really common where authors use their own personal experiences or there's something just that stands out and they feel like, okay, you know what, this will fit in a narrative somehow.
Yeah.
This will fit in a story somehow, or this will be healing if I can frame it and stuff like that. So I imagine that was what were there like, well, I don't know, this kind of like piggybacking off of what we're talking about is like what were the most challenging and enjoyable parts to write? I imagine some of that feeds into those sentiments.
So yeah, the challenging bit was when, obviously, without again spoilers, something happens in the book, and that was quite upsetting, but that had to be done. And I would say the experience, the joyfulness was the fact of just creating the world and having this world that I could, I done this, that it's been created. But yeah, with regards to the positive side of it, it was really nice to delve into the world and make it. So that was the positive side of it. Obviously, taking all, I just love the writing and being able to build the world, and especially novellas as well, because where a novel is quite intense, a novella is more like a short. You can introduce like certain characters in the novellas are going to play a big part in the bigger story, but because being the first book, I didn't want to overwhelm anyone. Between you and me, I've actually got about 200 characters in my head that are going to be playing
That's
out.
wild. You got to be
I
careful because
know.
you're gonna get in over your head with
I
that.
know this is what, but obviously what I've done is some of them have got links. Obviously, some of them are good, some of them are bad. But what I wanted to try to do, my idea was either bringing each novella out separately as a short story, like a free ebook, or maybe doing it as a compilation, like a novella compilation. And that way I don't have to worry about the timeline. But again, it's just it's hard because as an author, you've always got different ideas buzzing around in your head. So I know exactly where my book's going and where it's going to end, and if I'm going to do any spin-offs and what my characters are doing. The weirdest thing is when you're a writer, certain characters step forward. Like I love one of my characters is Alina Starlight. Again, without too many spoilers, she plays quite a big part, but you don't really get to know her that much in the book. But obviously, as the book progresses, you do. But her story, and I actually love writing for her. And it's really weird because I was talking to another author, and they said their main character that they wrote ended up the secondary character was trying to take over the first, and it was like there was a battle going on about who should do. And it's really weird to say that. So when you're a writer and you're actually writing a series or just a novel itself, while the characters are telling you what to do and it's playing out in your head, it's amazing. It's, I suppose, How to Train Your Dragon would be the best way to describe it. So you've got Hiccup, and then you've got that other lady, but the lady, I can't remember her name, but the lady plays quite a big part and sometimes overshadows him. So you've got that for fight between the two characters. Like my Tarum Mon has also got a lady called Rista, and those two are quite fighting for space, if you would, and it's quite interesting to see that dynamic. So yeah, that was really interesting. For me, it was interesting to create a world where anything's possible as long as it is possible. So there's not no one can come back from the dead, for example. Obviously, undead is different. If someone dies, they're dead. They're not going to suddenly. Again, maybe I don't want to give too many spoilers, but something does happen.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah, it's really hard because again, as an author, you want to tease enough that you want to get people interested, but you don't want to give everything. Like I know that a lot of the Harry Potter series, they blanked out a lot of what was done, and when they put it in the paper, they didn't. They said it's such, and then they blanked it, so you couldn't actually see. And I know a lot of it's done on like pink paper, so you can't actually change anything on it. And I think the hardest thing as an author is you want to be able to get people into your world and you want to tease and you want to hook them, but you don't want to give too much away because then they won't bother reading the book. I already know what's going on. So throughout mine, I've got lots of little cliffhangers and lots of reasons that connect to another book and maybe another character, and like certain characters dive in and out. So basically, if you was imagining, for me, I imagine it like a bit like an escalator, where as some characters are going up, some are coming down, and some are trying to overstep others, and they all link in a way. And I've just basically really loved writing it, to be fair. And it's really fun for me because I've done a few author spotlights and interviews. I was interviewed on the radio, and it was interesting because the radio, I tended to plug my book a lot more. Obviously, with you, because it's more of a conversation, I don't want to go here and buy it, go there and buy it, because all the links and stuff will be there anyway for them. I just wanted to talk to, it's nice to talk to someone who's not connected as a family and just a complete random stranger as such, even though we've been communicating via Insta and stuff like that.
It's nice like February or something.
Yeah,
like, when did we schedule this thing? Yeah,
exactly. And it's really nice to be able to just do that and just like talk to someone else about my book and geek out about it without people saying, "Oh, bloody book again," because some people are like, "It's all I talk about," and they're like, "Oh, for God's sake, stop talking about it."
It's your baby. It's your world.
Yeah,
you spent how many hours in this, and we're the point where characters wouldn't leave you alone. How many interviews have you been on?
This is my first ever podcast. I've had a few author spotlights, which were really cool. And as I said, I've had a conversation with the guy that narrated my audiobook.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. But this is the first time I've actually been talking to someone on a podcast. I want to get into podcasts because I've never really done it. And I didn't know whether it would be worth me starting a podcast just to my friends and family suggesting doing it and like doing some book stuff. Because I'm also thinking of creating a newsletter, like an email newsletter, because I think it'd be quite good because I do a little blog on Facebook, but it doesn't really get the engagement I want. Whereas if a newsletter, if it's emailed directly to them, it will. And I call it the contact stone because that's how my characters contact each other. So it's like a little stone that changes color and changes images and stuff. So I thought that might be quite cool for the name of a newsletter.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It can be overwhelming, but you just, as long as you have a clear goal in mind. Because me, I'm still like, I've got this podcast, but I'm still trying my best to see and pay attention to what platforms people are looking, where they're going to find and where they're going to interact, and where,
it's so difficult.
It's like, and it's a little bit challenging because I only do author interviews. I review books like on the blog, but I don't like a lot of bookish podcasts or like people talking about a book or reviewing books or deep diving and giving their opinions, which is great. Or there's like all sorts of bookish podcasts where it's like, oh,
book to movie. Did the movie do it better? Was the book better? Stuff
Yeah,
like that. Or
yeah.
like fan casting. Like how do you
Mm.
cast how would you cast this book in a movie? Stuff like there's all these unique ideas, but I'm only doing interviews and so it's kind of like unique where I'm like, who's to say in 3 years someone picks up your book? They gotta know that I have this conversation with you. So
Exactly.
it's not necessarily it is I try my best to do it like time sensitive, but then it's like
Yeah.
there's no time there's no like time limit on discovering these interviews like with authors because you could read a book at any time and then maybe you want to go back and check out author spotlights and stuff like that. So it could be tricky, but I would say it's like have clear goals in mind and do your due diligence and see how you want to play that out. You know what I mean? Whether it's a newsletter or a podcast or like even if I know you said you're like not crazy about video, but a YouTube series might be beneficial too. Like little
Mm.
short clips here and there that who knows? You just got to figure it out.
Yeah. Because I've tended to use Canva, so I've actually made a book trailer on Canva before, and I was going to go that down the newsletter route because with Canva
Yeah.
you can put your logo and all of that, and the email via Canva is probably better.
So, what do you hope readers get out of the Adventures of Tarum Mon?
So I hope readers they get to understand that no matter what challenges people throw at you, no matter what life throws at you, you just keep going and you find your way around it and you follow your own path. The very last, probably the last thing I say in my book is don't be a sheep, be a shepherd and follow your own path. So what I mean by that is don't let anyone tell you you can't do something because if you want to do it, you can do it. Life is too short. I lost my mum in 2008. I lost my cousin in 2015. So you didn't know that was around the corner. I didn't know he was going to go in a car and not come back. I didn't know my mum was going to get cancer and not come back. It's really hard. And I think live your life for you. And obviously, if you're married and stuff like that, and obviously that's important. Family life is important. I think that's the other thing I've learned. I've been in retail since I was 18. So to step away from that and actually do something that I'm very passionate about. I love the
Yeah.
customer service and talking to people, but all the scope and all the pushiness and do this and do that. And it just felt now it feels and being because I'm also training as an interior designer, which I'm hopefully going to pass soon. So that'll be quite nice for me to step away from the retail side of it, but still do the customer service side
Yeah.
and the selling and being able to sell myself. But as I said, I just want readers to enjoy the book and follow their own path and not be dictated to and put themselves in a box or let anyone put them in a box. Because at the end of the day, everyone is different. There's millions of people in this world. If everyone was the same, how boring would that be?
100%. Firsthand, like you've had a life of living in your own box, making your own box, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Oh
it's,
yeah, I don't
yeah.
follow the crowd. I am my own person and I do things my way. And unfortunately, autism sometimes comes with no filter. So I will just say how I feel. And my cousin, one thing my cousin always said that sticks to me is no one ever wants the truth. It's the truth they want to hear. And I think that really resonates because it's if you say to someone, if you ask someone, how does this look on me? What they really want you to say is you look fantastic. They might not, but they want you to say that because they don't feel confident in it and think if someone else says, oh, yes, it looks really good, then they will. But then they're going to hate going out. And if someone says that really doesn't suit you or that doesn't look good for you, and then they get upset. But it's like, but at the end of the day, you asked for an honest opinion. So
Yeah.
I have to be very careful. Being autistic, having no filter can be quite difficult. And I have got
I
myself
guess,
into a lot of
yeah,
trouble
like
just
however your
expressing.
brain works, but like when
Yeah,
someone says, "Oh, how does this look on me?" I would say it's great, but maybe I would point out if it's not great, I would be like, "Oh, this fits you weird on this side." Or I mean, just
exactly.
be
Yeah,
specific. And I know I think it like I don't know if it fits you for right now because I can't get over this one section of this piece. Like
exactly.
it just you just gotta find a way to say it so that people are welcoming your feedback or they're
Absolutely.
receiving it in a way that's constructive. And
Yeah,
especially, I'm guessing you had
absolutely.
to learn that too. For
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's I'm so lucky. I've got such a good support network. Like my wife, Maureen, she's absolutely brilliant, and my little girl, we called Miracle because we waited 15 years for her, so she's
oh
amazing as well. Like
wow,
my dad is really
how old is she
supportive.
now
So
then?
she's 4.5, and we called her Miracle
Oh,
because we
so is
waited 15
my
years for her.
youngest. He is
Oh
God.
yeah, so being a dad
That's
is
an
amazing.
interesting age for sure.
Yeah, being a dad is amazing, and being a husband and a dad and an author and all these stuff
And
that
obviously
I
your
thought I
wife,
would
like, she
be.
adores you. She
Yeah,
like to hijacked you for a hot second to
yeah.
say goodnight. And that's so
Yeah,
cute. I
yeah.
loved it.
I'm very lucky for the support network I've got. It really means a
Yeah,
lot
no,
to
that's
me.
important, 100%. So let's
Absolutely.
see, you kind of teased about this. What is next? What can readers expect from
Okay.
how the story continues that you feel
So
comfortable talking about?
again, spoiler free, something happens in the first book, that leads to the second. And if the reader is very perceptive, they'll realize that a way to get to the second world is actually mentioned in the first book without too many spoilers. But if your mind works like that, you'll be like, hang on a minute, because something I mention is how he gets to the second continent, basically. And that was really interesting for me because, again, my wife and my dad helped me of how do you breathe underwater when you're not got gills and you don't have fins and stuff like that. So if you're an elf, for example, how are you going to breathe underwater? You're not. So they do, but again, it's without many teasers. It's a really, the way I've done it is very different and very unique. And because it's mainly set underwater with maybe one big island, so a lot of the teasing of that is it's called Chaos Through the Seas, which is the title of it. And it's all to do with certain things that have happened on the first book that lead onto the second one. And then obviously it will be still Tarum, but then it'll be like a new cast of characters, new races, all new. I want to be able to for people to be like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming. And I'm just hoping that's going to happen. And from the first, a lot of what's happening in the first book does get mentioned again in the second, but I wanted it to be like a standalone. So if you haven't read the first book, it's like a mini adventure for you. But by reading the first book, you get the Easter eggs of, oh, this happened. Oh, wow, this happened. And this happened because of X, Y, and Z.
So do you think that
So
like
yeah,
people can they can the second project that you're working on, do you think that they can read it without reading the first, or do you think it's just best,
I would
or
say
you're
yes.
not sure yet? Like
Yeah, I would say, to be fair, because it's still a work in progress, where it is at the moment, I would say you probably would need to read the first, but also for the fact of the world that got created, because you wouldn't know what the
Yeah,
second continent is and
yeah.
why it is. Because obviously, I can reveal this because this isn't a book anyway. My book series is made, my world is made of 7 continents called the Join-In, and the world is called Zexus. So Zexus is the whole world, and the Join-In is the 7 continents. So there's 7 books and each book will relate to a continent. So the first one is Rift, the second one is Oceanian, and so on and so forth. So you've really got that connectivity. And if you read the first one, a lot of it will make sense for the second one. I think if you read the second one without reading the first one, you'll like it, but you might not understand it as much.
Might be
So
missing
what I would
something.
say is maybe wait, maybe if you're not keen on paperback, maybe get the Kindle version, which has both stories in it, like the short story and the full novel, and then maybe read that. And then if you need to dip into that and be like, oh, okay, so while you're reading the second maybe hardback book, you've got the first one to rely back on if you don't want. Because the good thing is with Kindle's good for on the go. So if
Yeah.
you're on your phone or you're on a train and there's nothing to do, you can read it. Whereas I think a physical book, you can't beat a physical book
No,
of being
you're
able
you're
to.
you're preaching to the choir here. That's like my thing. I'm just like if I'm bored, my mind's always running. I'm like, what am I reading? I'm like, I will use the phone. Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
You're absolutely right. What advice do you have for somebody in your position, first time authors who, and then maybe who are on the spectrum? What advice do you have for them who might be wanting to start a project like this,
Right.
or big lessons learned, that you want to carry forward, stuff like that?
I would say the biggest lesson is watch out for glamour. Watch out for glamour people that want to, as I said, glamour publishers. If they're offering you money for your book, don't go with them. If they're going to say you need to pay us X, Y, and Z, they're a glamour publisher, no doubt about it. I was quite lucky. I got a publisher called Spiffing Covers, and they're like a hybrid. So they're independent, but they're sort of traditional. They do a bit of both, and they were really good. Obviously, they were. I did have to pay some money up front, but because of what they did, I could understand why, and I did look into it, and I made sure. The other advice I would give you is everyone's got a story inside them. It's your story to tell. If you feel you want to tell it, do. If you feel you just want to write it down, you just want to do like a short story or a novella or just how you're feeling, I would always say just do it because you just don't know. And the other thing I would say is just, as I've always said, just do it how you feel and do what you want. And if you feel you want to do it, then go for it. And if you go traditional, fantastic. They can put you in all the shops. You could do really well. And then if you go indie, just be prepared. If you go indie, you're wearing a lot of hats. And I'm talking, you're going to need like a hat rack because you literally will flip from one to the other. Don't be surprised if at one point you're marketing and then suddenly you're writing and then you're suddenly writing what you're marketing on TikTok, and you suddenly just typed a bit of the book without even realizing it, because you never remember what hats you're wearing at the time. But I would always recommend it. And if you're on the spectrum, use that to your advantage rather than a disadvantage. One of the things I want to do, and I've got hopefully coming up, is to talk to schools in a local library and explain my story and how it works.
Yeah.
I'm in libraries, so I'm in a few libraries. I'm in a lot more of independent stores as well, which is really cool. Like one of the newest ones I got was Salient Books, and they're in Ohio, and they've got like I shipped them through Amazon and through postal. I've sent them free signed copies with bookmarks they can sell, and then free unsigned. And then going through them is really cool because they add loads of new swag and stuff to it
Yeah.
when they sell it.
Yeah.
And I've got things like I've got an independent shop in Bath that I'm in. Obviously, Waterstones you can ask for me, and Daunt Books as well in London you can ask for me, and certain other ones like that. It's just hard. I will say, being an indie, if you want to go down the indie route, prepare to work hard, because it isn't just a case of they are going to publish your book. If you want to publish it, it's going to cost, and but it's going to be rewarding because you can control it. You can decide what you want to market, how you want to sell it, what group you want. You haven't got the obviously, but just be prepared that bigger stores like Waterstones, WH Smith, Tesco, Asda, stuff like that, you're going to have to approach it a different way. Like the Waterstones angle, most people think I'm going to write a book, Waterstones are going to take it. No, if you're an indie, if you're lucky enough to be taken, especially at the moment, I will mention it again, romantasy is like everywhere. Like a
Yeah.
lot because of Rebecca
Yeah.
Yarros and stuff like that.
And
Romantasy is
Sarah J. Maas
everywhere.
too. It's just like
Yeah,
booming. Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I never connected with. It's really weird. A lot of people ask me. I never connected with Sarah J. Maas. I think the
I
first one I
I
saw
felt like
too much
FOMO.
Beauty
I
and
felt
the
like I
Beast.
just wanted to keep up with the cultural movement. So I read all of it.
Yeah,
I finished I'm all caught up. I'm all caught up with all her
yeah.
series, all her
See, it
books.
didn't really appeal to me. But then I've never liked like romantic
That's
fantasy.
okay.
My
You're
story
not
has got a
alone. There are
slow
some people
burn.
who think that
Yeah,
she's overhyped,
exactly.
and it's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
a slow burn romance within my book,
Yeah,
very
right.
subtle, because obviously it's the 12 plus, so I didn't want to be like they without like it's hand holding and a
Yeah,
bit of kiss.
you gotta pull the reader along. You gotta create that tension. You gotta create that
Exactly,
angst and the pining. Like, oh, will they? Won't they?
exactly,
Oh, and like you also had
exactly. Yeah.
so many other things going on. You're like, no, this
Mm.
isn't the love story. This is like the adventure
This
with.
isn't a romance,
Yeah,
so it's got the
yeah,
slow burn romance in it, but it's not
yeah,
what the story is about. Basically, the story premise is about a group of heroes fighting to get their world back from the darkness that's tainting it. That's the basic premise. And I did, but then there's other stuff going on, like little mini stories within a story, and like the slow burn romance and the elemental magic
yeah,
and dragon. So all of these are because I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't even know what a trope was until I started doing like stuff your Kindle events via another company
yeah,
I'm with
yeah.
in authorcentral.com. They do really good, and I'm with their library. And until I did that, I didn't know what a trope was. I kept seeing tropes appear, and I'm like, what is a trope? And now I know
But
I've
now
got
you're
in
like,
mine.
okay, boom, boom, all these tropes. Like,
Yeah, I've got
well, there's like
dragon.
tropes that you probably didn't even realize were tropes that you already have in your story.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
mean. When I go back to her, oh yeah, no, I've got that. My favorite bit about my story is the elemental magic I created because I didn't want to go down the route of earth, fire, wind, water. So I've got like breeze and magma and terrain and aqua
yeah,
and poison, light
yeah,
and dark. And the light and dark are spelled very differently. So you've got DARC, which is dark, and LITE, which is light. And then you've got these seven elements that play. And I can drop a teaser. There's actually more, but we'll leave it with that. There
yeah.
is more elements. I'm not gonna, because in the
You
later
can't
books you
You
find out.
can't give them
No,
everything. You can't give us
exactly,
everything. You gotta
exactly.
like keep us
But
coming
no, I
back.
just, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to write the book as well, because like throughout it, there's like little snippets, and as I said, Easter eggs. I love it when a game series, like I'm addicted to Disney Dreamlight Valley. I absolutely love it. Play it all the time, and it's really nice because even though their characters, it's a new way of doing it. There's constantly new events and new timelines, and they change it up a bit like Lacana. I play that quite a lot as well, and Doomlin, so I tend to dip in and out of cards. And Lacana's really cool because it's taken the Disney style but given it a new spin, and
Yeah.
it's the artwork and the stories behind it are just phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie. If you love Disney and you love card games, Lacana is one for you.
Yeah, I've heard about that, and it's definitely like its own
Mm.
thing. It's definitely like a specific
Yeah,
audience who like it's
it's
like a
really
hidden
good.
gem.
It's really good because the artwork is all done by people that have obviously, I don't know if it is, I think it's partnered with Disney and Wizards of the Coast or Ravensburger. I'm not sure which one. I think it's Ravensburger. but they've actually taken a lot of the concept of this princess, and rather than like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm a princess, I'm all lovey-dovey, and then there's actually quite a more like adventurous side and the stuff
Just
they
like
done.
that.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite ones is Belle's an inventor like her father, and that's really cool to do because it's something that wasn't touched on in the film. And I like it when you can take something different and
Yeah.
then make your own, which is really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Stephen F. Black, where can we find you online and on social media?
Okay, so I'm on Amazon, and I'm on Kindle and I'm on KU as well. I'm also in a few independents, which I can send you the links. You can then tag if you want to in your
Yep,
podcast.
include it.
Listen
I'll
to
include
it.
in
If
the show
not,
notes, all that good
I
stuff.
will.
Yep.
I'm Stephen YA author, Stephen F. Black YA author on TikTok. And then on Instagram, I'm at Zexus Uncovered. And a lot of the books like Salient I'm on, and Indie Author Central, and Mrs. B's Emporium. And as I said, Waterstones, if you're a Waterstones fan, you can go and ask for the book. And in a few libraries, so Tunbridge Wells, I've got my books are in there. So I'm trying to get out there. But as I said, that's the trouble. When you're an independent and you're self-published, it's very hard to get into certain stores. And independents are probably the better way to go because a lot of people that go in there are looking for a specific genre. Like it might be that I've applied for Paper and Word who are going to open a unique fantasy, just fantasy and romantasy. I think it's romantasy, like in some, I can't remember the place, but they're opening a store that's dedicated just to that. And and if I can get on their shelves, I'll be over the moon because being on a fantasy only store will be
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I know, but I love that. And I'm like, even though the kind of, I feel like the industry, like online, it's like the Bookstagram and
Mm.
all like the book talk and the
Yeah, I do
podcast,
book
like
talk.
all of us, it's like
Yeah.
bookstores, independent bookstores. It's
Mm.
all it's like crowded.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's just like there's more opportunities for people to reach their people. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, like there's so many more independent owned either publishing or bookstores or like even marketing agencies. There's like people who are just only doing book marketing and stuff like that. They're just starting their own business. But I'm like, even though it's like crowded, I think it's not a bad thing. Like it's just makes it more challenging to stand out,
Yeah.
but I think it's a
Cool.
great thing for like adding more outlets for people to showcase their work.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a bit like when Kindle came out and everyone was like, oh my God, Kindle's going to destroy books. But I think books are timeless. Picking
Hey,
up a
no,
book.
it's like trophy. I don't know. Okay. Stephen F. Black, The Adventures of Tarum Mon. That book is available now. Stephen, thank you so much for meeting with me, for making
You're
time for
welcome.
me. I love you rambling on and me rambling on and you being patient and all your
Yeah,
authentic answers.
that's
And if and when you want to come back, feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat again.
Yeah, I will do. Just to let you know, it's called The Adventures of Tarum Mon, the Spear of Time, because that's the first book. So it's
Okay.
not just, I just
Oh,
wanted
is
to get that.
Adventures of Tarum is like the
And
collective.
yeah, like the
Yeah.
collective, and then the Spear
So the
of
Sphere of
Time is
Time
the
is the
first one.
first one. Book
Yeah,
one.
and then the Chaos Through the Seas is the one I'm currently my work in progress, which is
Perfect.
really
Yeah.
cool.
You're like, that's the idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Perfect. The
exactly.
Adventures of Tarum, just enter it in Google and keep an eye on it. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah. So no, I appreciate it. Like I said before, if and when you ever want to chat again, feel free to reach out.
Oh,
I'd love to.
definitely. No, I'll definitely pop back on.
And there you go. That was Stephen F. Black talking about his book, The Adventures of Tarum Mon, Sphere of Time. That book is available now. Check out the show notes to see links where you can find Stephen online on social media and where to purchase the book. In the show notes, you'll also see where to find Cantina Book Club on your favorite social media communities, such as Bookstagram, BookTok, BookTube, Threads, Facebook, and more. And I would love and appreciate it if you could hit that follow or subscribe button so that you never miss out on book reviews and author interviews. If you have any book-loving friends who are looking to get more out of their reading lists, please share Cantina Book Club with them so that they can find upcoming releases and interviews with authors. Another way to help this podcast is to head over to your favorite podcast player and give Cantina Book Club a rating and a review. It helps me reach more potential listeners and follow book lovers like you. And that goes for any podcast that you listen to. It's one of the easiest things you could do to help out. If you need book recommendations, you can reach out to me. I'm always excited to share my recent favorites, or you can head over to cantinabookclub.com to read more in-depth book reviews of all types of genres. While you're at it, you can subscribe by entering your email on the website so that you could get reviews and posts delivered directly to your inbox. If you want to support Cantina Book Club even more, you could donate by finding the form on cantinabookclub.com. Whether it's a one-time donation or as little as $1 a month, I seriously appreciate the support and will share my appreciation by giving you a shout out on the show. And finally, one of the best ways to help authors promote their works is head on over to Amazon, Goodreads, Storygraph, wherever you rate your books, and give a title that you've read a rating or a review. It's free. It helps out almost as much as actually purchasing the book. Thanks so much for listening, and see you next time. Cheers.